is the only tennis player ever to complete the Golden Slam. Now, will Novak Djokovic do it in 2021? Really an interesting question, an interesting topic, mainly because nobody is actually talking about it. It's really weird. Some people are still upset about the Australian Open. Was he faking the injury? Was he really injured? Some people are talking about his 311 weeks at being number one. Some people are debating, is he the GOAT? Is Rafa the GOAT? Is Roger the GOAT? But nobody is talking about the Golden Slam. It's really weird because he actually has a really good chance at completing it. Now, if we go back in time, 2016, and let's start with 2015. Everybody was talking about Novak. In 2016, he received as much media attention, as much positive media attention, as much respect as Novak Djokovic will ever receive. And rightfully so. Listen, starting from 2015, he won 5 out of 6 Grand Slams leading up to Wimbledon 2016. He beat Roger Federer 3 times in a row in 4 sets. Wimbledon 2015, US Open 2015, Australian Open 2016. 3 times in a row. He beat Rafael Nadal at Roland Garros in 3 straight sets. He was the guy. Even Roger fans were like, listen, he's just better. I don't like him. Roger Federer looks better. Roger Federer has a prettier backhand shot. But Novak is just better. Everybody was accepting this guy. Everybody thought this guy is going to break every single record. And then the 2016 Wimbledon happened. He lost in the 3rd round against Sam Querrey. And then the Olympic Games against Del Potro, the 1st round loss, and then the really bad end of the season with the injuries and the weird US Open, like the really weird US Open. He had 1 walkthrough and 2 forfeits, and then he lost in the final against Stan Wawrinka, and then at the season-ending tournament, Andy Murray beat him, and Andy Murray became the world number 1. And then, of course, all the injuries in 2017 and the early part of 2018. So that's why I think nobody is talking about Novak completing the Golden Slam. But let's fast forward into 2021. So Novak is currently, in my opinion, but he has to be the favorite on 2 out of the 3 remaining Grand Slams. He has to be the favorite on Wimbledon, and please don't tell me that Roger Federer is the favorite on Wimbledon. I will get onto that a little bit later on this video. And he has to be the favorite at US Open, especially because he's coming back at US Open with vengeance. Like, you cannot tell me that Novak Djokovic does not want to win US Open this year. And listen, let's look at some other intangibles. So he broke the all-time number 1 record, and he said that now he's focusing on Grand Slams. So that means he's not going to focus on Masters, and he's not going to be focusing on maintaining the number 1 spot. Now, does Novak Djokovic want to be the number 1 tennis player? Of course he does. Of course he does. But is there a real challenger? You can say Daniil Medvedev, but Daniil Medvedev really has to win a lot of tournaments to come close and maybe overtake Novak. So Novak can, casually maybe show up at 2 Masters, maybe reach a final, maybe win a Masters, and maintain the number 1 spot. Now let's look at Rafa and Roger. Rafa keeps getting injured. Like, I don't know what's going on. He keeps getting older. He keeps getting injured. Is Rafa ever going to be that player who plays 20 tournaments per year? Maybe he's turning into a Roger Federer. Maybe he's kind of just cherry picking the Roland Garros and a couple of Masters, and that's how he will play the remaining part of his career. Now, Roger Federer, he is getting old. He's 40 years old. He returned at Doha. He won 1 match, then he lost. He looked kind of old. He looked kind of gassed towards the end. And the new players, I think they are still 1 or 2 years away. Now, if Novak has a positive way of thinking, he can tell himself that since 2018, since the moment he returned to the classic Novak Djokovic form, since 2018 Wimbledon, he won 6 out of 10 majors. Now, that's pretty good, but you have to win 4 out of 4 to complete the Golden Slam. Now, let's look at the 4 majors that he didn't win. One of them was a freaking disqualification on a tournament that he was winning. Like, wow. The other one was an injury forfeit against Stan Wawrinka. Like, he kind of has a weird thing with Stan Wawrinka and Grand Slams, but whatever. I guess Stan Wawrinka isn't as great of a player as he used to, so I guess that threat is gone. Then, one of the losses is a 5-setter against Dominic Thiem on a match which was interrupted like 17 times, played during 2 days, windy, sunny, rainy, like it's a fucking, thunderstorm. It was really a complicated match. And, Dominic Thiem, I'm not going to say that Dominic Thiem was lucky. Dominic Thiem is an awesome player at Roland Garros. But listen, the whole scenario of that match really, really sucked. and then one clear loss against Rafael Nadal. So if Novak thinks positively, he can tell himself, listen, I won 6 out of 10, but I should have won like 8 out of 10 at least. Now, let's try to dissect the remaining slams one by one. First of all, the Roland Garros. Now, what people remember, of course, is the 2020 Roland Garros and Rafael Nadal pretty much destroying Novak Djokovic, especially in the first two sets. And people assume that Novak does not have a chance against Rafa, which is not true. Novak Djokovic is Rafael Nadal's most challenging opponent at Roland Garros. If you remember that stretch from 2012 to 2015, they faced 4 times. Rafa beat him 3 times, 2 times in 4 sets, 1 time in 5 sets, and then Novak beat him in 2015 in 3 sets. Of course, Nadal wasn't 100, but he still beat him. That's quite of an achievement. Now, what people don't realize that in 2013 semifinal, which is probably my favorite Novak Djokovic match that he didn't win. Epic match, epic 5-setter. He really took it to Nadal. He had a break advantage in the 5th set. He messed up at the end. You can even say that Novak kind of choked that match, but they were really equal. They were going at it. And that match was in late May or early June. The temperature was relatively high. So if in 2021, let's say the weather is 25 Celsius, not a classic October 10 Celsius weather, which is suitable for Rafael Nadal. If the weather is relatively hot, it's sunny, it's not windy, and let's say if Novak avoids Dominic Thiem in the semifinals, I think he has a solid chance against Rafael Nadal because, as I mentioned, Rafa is slowly turning into a Roger Federer. He's really starting to focus on one slam because if you look, I think COVID covered it up beautifully. I think because of COVID, we do not realize that Rafa is kind of cherry picking some tournaments. He said that he didn't go to US Open because of COVID. I think he didn't go to US Open because he kind of knew that he wasn't winning the US Open and he was focusing on Roland Garros. So Nadal is kind of cherry picking because of his age and his injuries, some of the tournaments. So he's going to be focusing on Roland Garros. But is Rafa going to be 100%? I think Novak is going to go into Roland Garros healthier than Rafael Nadal. Now, again, the Dominic Thiem factor is really, really important. But I give Novak some chance. Now, I can be delusional here and say Novak is winning. As a Novak fan, I can be delusional and say Novak is beating Rafael Nadal. I think that's delusional, but he has a chance. He has a 15-20% chance of beating Rafael Nadal and winning the Roland Garros. Now, let's go to Wimbledon. Now, I have my biggest problem here, especially with Roger Federer delusional fans, is Wimbledon. So you're telling me that Roger Federer, who won one tennis match in the past 400 years, is going to kind of cherry pick some tournaments, is 40 years old, removed from multiple knee surgery, is going to show up at Wimbledon, beat 6 guys just like this, and have a competitive match against Novak Djokovic in the final. That's really, really delusional because, as I said, he won one freaking match in the past 400 years. He's coming off of a knee surgery, multiple knee surgeries. He's getting older. And back in 2019, he gave everything in that final and he came up short. And now in 2021, he's supposed to beat Novak. Dude, worry about Dominic Thiem, worry about Medvedev, worry about Tsitsipas or Zverev. These guys are coming for Roger. Roger has a target on his back, just as Novak has a target on his back. Like, he will have difficulties to reach the final, or unless if the draw will have Novak and Roger facing in the quarterfinals, let's say, but Roger will have difficulties to reach the final. And the other thing that bothers me is that people don't realize. So people think that Roger is the king of Wimbledon and Novak is the king of Australia. Okay, Novak is the king of Australia, but Roger, he has one tournament. He has won Wimbledon since 2012. Okay, Novak has 4 Wimbledons since 2014, and he has one clear loss since 2014, which was against Sam Querrey in 2016, and he forfeited against Tomasz Berdych in 2017. So, out of 6 Wimbledons, because one wasn't held, he won 4, he has 1 loss, and he has 1 forfeit, and again, the 7th one wasn't held. So Novak is the favorite. Novak is the current king of Wimbledon. Just because Roger has 8 and Novak has 5, it doesn't mean that Novak is the underdog and Roger is the favorite. Novak beat Roger 3 times in the Wimbledon finals. So let's not be delusional about that. And finally, well, not finally, we have the Olympic Games. Now, honestly, I am worried about the Olympic Games because Olympic Games is of course best of a three tournament and the final is best out of five. And in 2016, Del Potro beat Djokovic, so the draw can be problematic. Nobody's really focusing on the Olympics. It's kind of a Masters-looking tournament, but it's more important than a Masters. And random things can happen in the Olympics. Andy Murray is double defending champion. I think he will try to defend it, whatever. Nevertheless, it's a weird tournament. Novak kind of has to be lucky with the draw, but in the final, if he reaches the final, he's winning the tournament because in a best of five match, he's beating. Some of the newer players have chances against Novak in the best of three match, but in best of five, I don't see him losing. And then the U.S. Open. As I previously mentioned, he is going back on Flushing Meadows with vengeance. You cannot tell me that Novak Djokovic is not a favorite there. He is going back and he's going to win that tournament. And he is going to lift that trophy as 22,000 people will boo him. That's what he likes to do. Now, I don't see anybody beating him unless there is a line judge. And if Novak Djokovic wins the Olympic Games, he is going to win the US Open. If Novak Djokovic doesn't win the Olympic Games, if Novak Djokovic doesn't win the Wimbledon, if Novak Djokovic doesn't win the Roland Garros, he is still going to win the US Open because I think in his head, the US Open is the most prestigious tournament in the 2021 campaign. I definitely think that Novak thinks that way. He will activate his Srpski inat. He will come into Flushing Meadows with vengeance, and he is going to win the tournament. Now, my final predictions: will Novak complete the Golden Slam? I think he will. I actually let me just allow me to be delusional. I think he will because nobody's actually talking about it. Nobody's actually expecting him to complete the Golden Slam. Now, I think it's a perfect opportunity because if he completes the Golden Slam, not only he is going to win the Olympic Games, he is going to take the lead, take the majors lead. He's going to have 21 majors. Rafa and Roger will stay in 20. And he will probably never look back and everybody will talk about him as the undisputed tennis GOAT. So I think Novak, if he thinks this way, if he thinks my way, if he's watching this video, which would be really awesome, but I don't think he's watching this video, I think Novak can see the chance of him being the GOAT by the end of the year and completing the major, the Golden Slam. Okay, thank you. Those were my predictions. That was my recap. And let me know in the comment section what do you think about my predictions and Nola's chances of completing the Golden Slam. Thank you. And cut.